This is my castle which I made for my history project, and I hope you enjoy. Okay everyone, thanks for watching my first history video. Now today I want to talk to you about a couple of things. Firstly, I want to talk to you about the castle life. Then I want to talk to you about how the castles would defend and attack, and then also want to show you all the little hidden bits and all the little other things that I've added to make the video a little bit more interesting. And I hope you enjoy. Okay. First off, we'll start off with castle life. So let's say you're a stranger and you've come from this village over here, which has been completely destroyed by something. What would happen is you'd come along and you'd walk up the drawbridge over the moat, and you'd come here. Here you would wait for one of the guards to come, flick that lever. Let me just go over the wall. They would flick the lever then, and then they would allow you to come through the door on the other side. So what would happen is you'd walk through the door because the guards would have seen that you're not an enemy. They would have made you walk along here all the way to the palace where the king lived. And what would happen is you'd come through the door, the entrance, you'd pass the place where all the soldiers would sleep, the infantry. Then you come up to the first floor, which would be the throne room. There you'd be greeted by the king and these two guards, and then you tell the king your troubles, why you want to stay here, and then the king would listen to you and tell you what to do. Okay, that's the first thing if you're a stranger. Second thing, another part of castle life. So let's say I'll pretend to be a person in the infantry. I'm in bed, sleeping like normal. Suddenly I wake up because I'm being told you need to start defending the castle. So what I do is I run up the stairs, past the palace, and into the restroom. There I pass everyone, go back up to the armory. I collect my weapon, my sword. I collect my helmet. I collect my helmet, my chest plate, my leggings, and then my boots. Then I put them on, all made of chainmail, and then I'd collect my sword. And then that's if I was a soldier. And then I'd go up to the battlements. I would go down the stairs, and I'd then go down and protect the front bit and go and guard the doors. That's what if you're a soldier. Okay, now if you were an archer. If you were an archer, you would have sprinted all the way over here to one of the mannequins. You would have taken off the headmelt, the chain armor, the chain boots, and the chain pants. Then you would have come over, taking your actual iron armor, and then you would have come along, taken your bow. Taking your bow from here, taking a bunch of arrows, and then what you would have done is then you would have gone up to the battlements, either on here, up the ladder really quickly. Then you would have surveyed your area. What would happen here is you would protect the keep by firing arrows over the battlements and on the enemy. The main thing that they would do is they'd stand at the front or around the keep, and they'd keep watch to see if the enemy made it in. If they did, then they'd start shooting the enemy and try and protect the king in this castle. And then what would happen? Sorry, my dad intruded to try and offer some advice. Basically, then you'd either come from there, or what would happen? Let's say I was an archer trying to guard the edges of the castle. What I would have done is let's just go back down the ladder to where the infantry is. So I've collected all my stuff. I would have then quickly run down the stairs, past the relaxation area, say goodbye to my lucky friends who will continue relaxing, that's if they are, past the throne room, down to the exit. There you would have sprinted all the way, past all the houses, past the farm, past all the animals. You would have sprinted up to the 2 ladders, so either those ladders, or then, sorry this happens a lot. You would have sprinted up to either these ladders or the ladders over here, and then what would you have done? You should open the door. You would have then climbed up to the top of the castle with the ladder. You would have tried to make it up to the top. Then when you reach the top, you would have fired down arrows from either at the front, over here, or basically anywhere at the defenders. Example, let's say this horse is a invader. What the archers would continually do is they'd shoot arrows at the enemy continuously until they saw that it was dead. Not all of them would hit, as you can see, because this horse is quite far away. None of them are hitting, number 1. But number 2, basically the main thing is they go down and try and kill the enemy, knowing that, and try not to get shot by the enemy's own archers if they do have any. But yeah, that's the first thing I wanted to say. How basically the life of like a soldier. Okay, second thing. Let's say you're the king. It's basically the king, he would wear the most beautiful stuff, aka diamond, because it's the best thing in the game, basically. So basically the king would walk around being all regal, royal, in all his diamond lovely stuff. What he would do is he'd walk slowly and greet all the villagers surrounded by palace guards as he enters the castle. He'd take a nice leisurely walk along because he's the king and he can do whatever he wants. And then what would happen is then he'd go into the entrance, greet the army. Then he would go up here, and then he'd be accompanied by his 2 palace guards along with these 2 waiting here. Then he would sit down on the thing, on his throne, and then he shall either discuss business with his elders, with the council, which would be on either side waiting for him, or he would be sitting down and awaiting visitors or protection. So let's say the castle under attack. These would be the preparations that would be made. So basically, as you know, you saw how the archers would, but I need to show you what would happen if the king knew the castle was going to be taken over. The king would go and quickly grab a horse and ready it for escape, because if it had been captured, then he may as well get out there. And basically, so what would then happen is then the king would take a horse, he'd go and get a horse, he'd saddle up on his horse, take the saddle. Donkeys might be a little bit better. Okay, pretend this is a horse. It's the king. Ow. The animals never liked me. Okay, let's try again. Take the apple, and then we go. Okay, enough of this nonsense. So basically what the king would do is he'd saddle up his horse and I'd wait to see if the doors would be broken. If so, then his palace, he would break out of the wall just a tiny bit, and he'd go on the moat, like he'd jump over the moat with his horse quite quickly. And then what he'd do is he'd run out into the open with a couple people accompanying him with a small sack of provisions. And then he said, course, to the king's castle, to tell him what has happened and ask him what's going on and what needs to be done. That would happen. Let's say you were villagers and you were captured. the enemy castle would either decide to take you alive, or they kill you right on the spot and burn the place and take all the riches and gold. So now let's see, say basically, you're black. Let's say you're a farmer. You've got in. This is the town hall. Basically, you're a farmer, and you've come out of the town hall meeting, and they've told you the aim and objectives for the day. You go into your house. You go and then dump off all the stuff that you don't need, like this, like all this garbage. And then what you do is you go and get the things that you need, for instance, a hoe and a shovel. Then you'd also go and take some food for the animals, such as apples, fish, and you then take a little snack for later for yourself, which is some bread. Then what you do is you go over to each of the animal pens. You then feed them the food that they like. You'd also take carrots as well. I didn't take carrot. You'd also then go and feed food that they liked. Feed the food that they want. And then after you fed them the food, then you go over to the next animals and give them what they want. These people don't want that. They want bread, maybe? Well, apparently they don't like taking food. They like wheat though, so you'd feed them the food that they want. Then you go over to the next batch of animals. Then you'd go to the fence. You'd open up. For chickens, you'd run around, collect all the eggs. As you can see, I have 12 eggs so far. Now 16. So you collect all the eggs. Then you'd go and feed the chicken the food that they like. Don't think chickens like that much. What would chickens like, but not themselves? Chickens. Feed them chicken food. This is chicken food. Take this food. That's food. Okay? Chicken food. You drop it on the ground. You'd exit. Close the pen behind you. Try and make sure not many chickens have gotten out. Then you go over to the cows. Or the next animal. You'd feed them what you want. Go around giving each of the food. You see what the hearts appear as me feeding them. So you'd give them all the food that they want. And then you'd leave. And you'd go back. And then you'd go down. And then you start getting on with the actual not pleasant bit of your job. Which is planting. So your main aim as a farmer is to grow lots of food and please the king. So what farmers do is they go into the ground, they go and then they plant stuff. So basically what normal farmers do, which is a bit easier, is they go and plant loads and loads and loads of seeds. Let's see if I go over here. Sorry, life as a farmer is not a quick job being a farmer, so please excuse me. And not an easy job, as you can see. Okay, so basically the farmers, let's say I'm a farmer and I'm off for a new day. I'm going to go and start a plant. I'm going to go and start planting some stuff. So what farmers would do is then they build multiple water sources for the thing. So basically, look, you plant the plants on that area. Then this middle bit, you fill up with tons of water, and then let me demonstrate. There. So you break all the without flooding your village, like I've stupidly done. You build some water, and then what you do is you plant some seeds along For some reason, the seeds don't like to be planted. Why is that? Like that. So then basically what you have to do is then you have to make the land so it's farmable. Make the land into farmable material. And then what you do is then, after you've done that, you have to go and plant your seeds on each row, multiple rows of the one thing. So I'm walking along planting wheat. Okay, so that's my wheat crop. That would be a farmer's typical wheat crop. Now let's say the farmers want to... And then basically what they do is they... Shh, Ethan, I'll have to edit this bit out then. My friend joined. Okay, so Ethan, I'm gonna try it. I'm doing some homework and I'm basically doing a Minecraft Castle presentation on YouTube. Okay, give me a sec, I just need to stop the broadcast.